Good morning, everyone. This is Grey Wolf here with Grey Wolf's Gaming Corner. I just want to do a quick look at the new tank that they're giving us. I applaud Wargaming for giving a free tank. I'll say that up front. I love Wargaming for making World of Tanks and World of Warships. I'm not even going to talk about World of Warplanes. We don't talk about World of Warplanes. But yeah, I do really appreciate the games. I think they I guess really opened the genre up with these games originally. So I want to make sure I give them credit for what they did before we talk too much about um, everything else. So I have this tank. It comes with a crew already in it. Looks like 100% crew. I'm gonna see if I have a better crew in the barracks. So let's return. Let's send. Let's send crew to the barracks. And then let's see if I have. Oh, I think my Pershing crew is pretty good. So I have basically a 3 skill crew in my Pershing. So we can run them if it's I think it's the same size crew. We'll see. So far so good. Okay, so I have a 3 skill crew in my Pershing. So we'll go with these guys. And we'll go back to the garage and we'll put some stuff in this thing. Let's see. I think we have to run probably with. I don't really want to spend a fortune on new equipment though, so I think I'm going to do what most of us free-to-play players do. And I know right now I've got premium, but that's just because I bought some boxes. Most of us free-to-play players um, will swap equipment back and forth if we have at least if we have the um, free swaps to do so. Equipment demounting kits or whatever. So I'm gonna take a turbo off of here. Demount to depot. I don't have any more free kits. It's fine. I don't really think we need coated optics. I think I'm gonna demount the gun rammer. And really what I need is I probably won't even use the gun rammer. What I need is a vert stab. Oh, does anything have a vert stab on it? Of course not my ISU. I didn't know that didn't have anything on it. Oh, here we go. Ugh, we're gonna have to put it back on the brass. But for now, we'll take it off. And what else does Patton the tank need? He needs vents. Vents I'll buy outright. So I'm gonna apply this. I'm gonna get him vents. He's not gonna get a gun rammer because, in my opinion, running a gun rammer with the horrible gun handling this thing has would probably be a mistake. Even though your rate of fire is gonna be down, I think it's probably better to run without the gun rammer. Because it's the holiday ops, and because this tank's probably going to be rough either way, I'm going to run with some decent amount of heat. And we can throw a directive on here. We'll do a vent directive. I think that makes the most sense. That, I guess I could have done the vert stab too, but vent directive should help as well. And then we'll do our standard cheap equipment setup. I never run automatic anything. I never run a large repair kit, and I never run a large med kit. I sell all those um, consumables. Why do I do that? Because I'm pretty quick on the draw when it comes to hitting the corresponding buttons, and second, it doesn't make that much difference. Why wouldn't I want the 10,000 silver instead? Because I have a hard time making a ton of silver when I'm not, flush with premium time. So let's give old Patton the tank a little run here, see how we do. I'm fully expecting this thing to be terrible from what I've seen. And I have some very specific thoughts on all of this, which I am going to go into after the gameplay. So hopefully you guys stick around for that, because that's more the point of the video this morning besides playing this tank. And I'm just going to post whatever I can do in this thing. If it's terrible, it's terrible. I'm going to keep the video. And if I make a stupid mistake in the beginning, then I make a stupid mistake in the beginning. I'm still going to keep the video in all of its glory or shame. I mean, I'm used to playing terrible vehicles, so maybe that'll be to my advantage. We'll see. Man, queue time is slow for this thing just haven't come out. A lot of people are already off for the holiday in North America. To have a minute in the queue with a tier 9 tank, especially when these were just released today for North America, is pretty interesting. It's already saying something. So, a minute and 29 seconds in total elapsed time. Seem to like giving this tank this map based on the fact that QB got the exact same map, I think, in the first game he played with this thing. Oh, and I'm on the wrong side for this weak point. And I'm in a very tier 10 game. There is how many Patton the tanks on my team? Holy crap, 5 of us. Wow. This is like Patton the tank versus Patton the tank. This is not a fast medium by any means. Let's see if we can't get up and around the corner here. It's probably not gonna happen. Oh, see? Already dead. But one of our Pattons made it up. Get up there, Patton. Oh, now you're gonna die. Half their team came over here. It's a feeding frenzy. It's a Patton feeding frenzy. So, what did we learn? We're not fast enough to get to the center in this tank. These comments are hilarious. Oh, this is great. Oh, this is great. And even the Patton on their team took a beating. Nope, never mind, he's dead. Yeah. How many do we have left? Oh, there's still 2. 2 out of the 4 that started the, or 5 that started the game are left. Oh, this is awesome. Okay, so well, I really don't want to wait for this whole game to end. Go back to the garage. So not fast enough to get to the center on that map, which I figured I'd get killed doing that, but I wanted to make a point. Oh, let's grab our calendar token and whatnot. Our freebies from Wargaming. So let's see. Let's get our presents from the dog here. They keep giving me these inscriptions. It's like, am I ever gonna put this stuff on any of my tanks? I have a ton of them, but am I ever gonna use them? Probably not. Alright, let's wait for Patton the tank to come back out again. We'll run one more battle in this thing. It shouldn't be long at this rate. I don't think that battle will take that long. So, I guess I can start to go into it a little bit. So my biggest thing is, thank you Wargaming for giving everybody a free tank. I think that act in and of itself for a Christmas event is a wonderful thing. And to give a tier 9 tank is even more wonderful. But I had to kind of look at this. I watched QB's video on this tank, the review that he did. And I have to kind of from a less than average player, I had to kind of look at this and say, okay, how does this affect the people in this game like myself who come in here and who play the game just to get some good gameplay in, who want to have at least a couple of good matches every day? How does it affect them? Who also spend money on this game. I mean, I was gonna do a breakdown on all the premium tanks that I have spent money on, but if you just go through my premium tank list, any of you guys out there can see that just in premium tanks, I've spent a good bit of money. And I know there's a lot of you out there who've probably spent a hell of a lot more than I have, to be quite honest. On loot boxes, on premium tanks, on game time, probably upwards of thousands of dollars on premium tanks and game time. I mean, just look at this list. It goes on for quite a while. I probably have more premium tanks than I do anything else, and that's probably true for the majority of players out there if they're spending money on this game. So Wargaming gives us this tank, and they give us this tank with I mean, it's got the American gun depression going for it. It has that. I don't mind the speed so much because I expect that from some of the earlier American medium tanks. Even the Pershing's not exactly quick. But the gun handling's terrible. It's got a giant pimple on its head for everybody to aim at and shoot. And yes, you gave it a 100% skill crew, which is nice. That is something I didn't know. That's cool. There's a one skill there. Like there's a 100% crew. That's awesome. So that kind of answers one of my questions about crew. But then the other thing is, so you give people this tank that really can't perform at tier 9, and it's going to flood the queues at tier 9. Well, what was the point I made, guys? What was the point I made in one of my first World of Tanks videos this year? My point was that Wargaming promotes an environment where players that don't know the game, that aren't experienced at the game, or just not very good at the game, will be farmed by everyone who is. That was my hypothesis, that this company wants to promote player farming, wants to promote the toxic griefing that happens from high tier players, farming low tier players, farming low skill players. Why was I saying that? Well, for one, they've never fixed the matchmaking. Two, they pull a massive number of stats on each player, and they could fix the matchmaking if they wanted to. They have shown that they have the ability to grab the data they need to do so. Three, they continue to do things like this, that push weak players into a weak tank in high tier matches so they can be farmed. Now, why do they need to do this? What would be the reason they would have to do this for tier 9? What would motivate this? Beyond just being generous at Christmas time, what would be Wargaming's motivation for putting this tank in at tier 9 in the game? Well, twofold in my opinion. One is they get to flesh out the tier 9 queue. So they have a bunch of these tanks in the queue, and so now that at least they have more numbers in their tier 9 games. Why would they need to do that? Why would they need to flesh out their queue at tier 9? Maybe it's because the players like myself don't want to go into a tier 9 game or a tier 10 game a lot of time. Because we know with the way their bullshit works with the random matchmaker, pardon my French, the random battles, we know that we're going to get a majority of games where we're just going to get slaughtered. And part of that's based on player skill for sure, 100%. 100% you need to play this game for a while so you can learn how to angle, you can learn how to aim, so you can do damage in a one-on-one, so you might possibly win a one-on-one when you're in it, and so that you can put points up for your team and help win the game. 100% I agree with that. And that remark was made to me that maybe I need to go down to lower tiers for a while and play a little bit more. Buddy, I've been playing this game for what, 14 years, 13 years, coming up on 14 years. I'm not going to get better going back down to lower tiers. I got to be honest with you. I can go down there and I can freaking just annihilate tier 5s and tier 4s at this point. I'm just reckless in my gameplay, and the tanks that I choose are not optimal most of the time. So that's me. That's how I play. It's not going to change for me going back down to lower tiers and changing my and trying to learn. That's not going to change how I play. And there's plenty of people out there like myself that play this game because they enjoy the gameplay and they would love to not be farmed. They would love to have a more balanced system in place so that they can compete with people at their skill level. And the second thing is, or for that on that specific point is, if you want people to learn, they're going to learn a lot better playing against people at their skill level, where a little change that they make is going to change the outcome of the game, and it's going to help them to pick up those little things as they go. So, maybe changing where they position their tank will have a much more pivotal reaction in a game where they're playing against people at their level versus if they're thrown into a big grab bag and they're put up against a super elite team and they go to that right position where they're supposed to be and they get clobbered by somebody else because their skill level is just not where that guy's is, and he knows every weak point on their tank and he knows how to play, and he just knows how to move better, well, that doesn't teach him anything. It doesn't teach him anything. I'm sorry. That just gets him killed and makes him feel bad about playing the game. So I guess in general, what I'm saying is thank you, Wargaming, for giving us this tank. But if you were really trying to help all your player base and you were really trying to help build your player base, what you should have done was made this tank very good. You should have gone the opposite way with it. You should have given us a free tank that's actually good. Why am I saying that? You're trying to bring new players into the game. You're trying to build your game because even players like myself who aren't great at this game, surprise, we're spending a lot of money on it. Because we enjoy playing different tanks. We enjoy getting different premiums to go out and do different to platoon with and just have a good time. So, if that's the case and you want to bring more of that money in, don't put a tank in the game to flesh out your queue in the most obviously greedy and cruel fashion that can't compete. This tank has decent penetration. I kind of treat it like a T-34. It's got good pen. The difference is while the turret's good, it's got this massive weak point. Why not just put a small cupola up there? Why not just change the design of the tank to put a small cupola up there? You've already destroyed the armor on it. Why not, and the gun handling? Why not just change that feature? It's a new tank you're putting into the game. You guys have already put dozens of fake tanks in the game for the Chinese and other countries that didn't have that kind of armor. So what's the difference? Put a regular small commander's hatch on this thing, like what's on a Pershing or on a T-32. Give it this turret. You do that with other things like the Tiger Mouse. You mix and match. Why couldn't you have done that with this thing? And give it a solid turret that's hard to pin. And let players that don't have the skill, that don't have the pocketbook, give them something that's actually valuable to them. Instead of just telling them, hey guys, we want you in tier 9 so that you can get slaughtered by all these other players, and we're going to put you in the worst tank in the game at tier 9, so that makes that much easier. Because we're afraid, Wargaming here, we're afraid to offend that tiny little subset of players that we have that play at a super high level. We don't want them to be offended. We don't want them to leave the game. We want to keep them in the game. Even though these people that they're favoring don't spend the money on the game. They don't pay for the game. The majority of players that play this game are not at that level. And those are the guys that are buying your loot crates and buying your tanks and dumping money into premium time because they need premium time to make any credits in this game. Without premium time, they don't because they're just not at that skill level. So I'm pissed. I'm thankful that we got this tank, but I'm pissed at how this was implemented and how obviously it supports my hypothesis that Wargaming wants people in this game to get farmed. It wants a very small subset of its players to be happy and everybody else to feel toxic about the gameplay, at least in the random queue. And they care about clan wars and they care about keeping those players happy. They don't give a damn about anybody else, pardon my French, who plays this game. This is an obvious example of that. This is an obvious example of that. And while I'm thankful for the fact that they put a tier 9 tank in game, that in my opinion, if Wargaming, if you watched my pitiful little YouTube channel, you guys better get off your butts and buff the hell out of this thing. You know, like next month, it better have a smaller cupola or no weak point there or whatever. Buff this darn tank. Because right now, what you're saying to the majority of your players is we don't care about you. We want you in a tier 9 tank so that you can fill our queues for us and get harvested by everybody else. That's what you're saying with this tank. It's harvest time, and it's time for a bunch of lower skill level and newer players to get killed by everybody else till they get toxic and they leave the game. And then we'll implement some other stupid feature to try to bring people back that will probably again turn people away. Like whoever in your marketing department that decided that putting this tank in with these statistics was a good idea and not a total slap in the face to all your regular players, your regular folks that play, is an idiot. I'm not saying they should be fired, but they should certainly rethink what their strategy when it comes to marketing to the masses. And newsflash, you guys should be marketing to the masses. You should be trying to make your game fun for the majority of people that run into it. The majority of people that put eyes on it should say, this is a fun game, I want to play it. And if you're not marketing to the masses, you're not marketing to the vast majority of people in your market, how do you expect to keep the game alive? How do you expect to keep it running? Are you just running it into the ground on purpose? Is that your intent? Because sometimes it seems that way. Now I'm going to give this tank another go because honestly I committed suicide a minute ago essentially in the game. And I'm going to give this tank another go. I'm going to try to play a little bit smarter. You know what? We'll go ahead and put a directive on. Don't want to forget that because you know what? We'll do the dispersion directive this time. And we'll go ahead and see what we can do. But I wanted to get that out there. I feel like this tank is like the object of the entire point that I've been trying to make with every video where I've gone after Wargaming. And there's only been a couple since I've been on here. In general, I like the company because I like World of Warships, and I still play World of Tanks because I enjoy those games where I do well. They're few and far between, but I enjoy those games. Now let's watch my queue time here. Is it going to be a minute and 20 seconds or a minute and 30 seconds again? You would think with all these wonderful tanks, these wonderful free patented tanks in the matchmaker that they would be so quick to get a game. Alright, we're on Serene Coast. Oh, let's see, where are we going? Well, I guess we'll go to the Gap. I guess we'll go the normal heavy tank route. I'm gonna treat this like a heavy tank. That's basically what it is. I mean, I could go to the hill. Yeah, we'll go to the hill. We'll go to the hill. We'll give the hill a shot on the. We'll cross the tracks. Give the hill a shot. Going downhill on hard-packed road is not bad. 45, 46, 49, 50. Now I know my weak point's gonna get picked on here. There's nothing I can do about it. I'm still gonna try to use the turret as much as I can. Leopard 1's falling back, but he basically did what he wanted to do, which is to hold everybody up and spot for as many people as he could. Very low chance I'd pin that, but I figured I'd give it a shot. I do not want to get hit by. Plate.
Start withdrawal. Acknowledged.
He's saying to go back. I guess we'll try. Yeah, I just got shot in the back. That's awesome. Going back may not be an option. tank moves really good on hard ground. I will say that for it. It's not a complete dumpster fire. I'm not changing my opinion on why they put it in the game, but I do think. Well, I got one more into the Barask. So that's all I got for today, guys. Let me go back to the garage. So I guess what I'm saying is, at the end of this, to summarize, thank you Wargaming for giving us a tank, but you're basically proving my point with this tank in a much better way than I ever could. So to me, this is especially a Christmas gift for me because it proves exactly what I've been saying, that your goal is to have new or inexperienced or even lower skill level players jump into tier 9, jump in this tank, attempt to play it because it's got decent pen. It's not it's not horrible. It's just not really good in any area, and it's got a huge weak point. Gun handling's not great. I mean, if you guys saw the way it played with the way I have it set up, it didn't play that bad. You know, I mean, for me, right? 1200 damage for me is not a great game, but it's not like my worst game by any means. It's not a good game. But where I was at, what I was doing, I did some damage. I helped push the hill. You know, I contributed a little bit. Not much, but I contributed a little bit to the game. And I was able to do that in this tank. So do I think this tank is like horrible to the point that you can't ever play it and be successful? No, that's not my point. I think this tank comes with certain weaknesses that are going to make newer players and players with less skill easier to kill in a tier 9 game. That's what I think. And I think Wargaming should have taken the opposite approach and made this tank quite good and made it free so that it was an equal advantage across the board for new players, less than average players, good players. It was the same platform for all of us, right? So there was no outside advantage or disadvantage to having this tank in a game. It just, but make it balanced. This is not a balanced tank. This is a purposely underpowered tank that they threw in the game to make more farming possible. To make, again, that small group of players, that vocal group of players, those little children, happy, essentially. That's what I see. That's what I see with Patton the tank. And honestly, I think Patton's probably rolling over in his grave with this tank wearing his namesake. I'm going to say that as an American. I think I could say that one of the greatest generals of all time, definitely one of the greatest American generals of World War II. And you're going to name this tank after him with the stats that it has. You're doing Patton a disservice, and you're doing the player base a disservice. That's all I got. That's all I got for this morning, guys. That's what I wanted to get out there. Hope you enjoyed it. I'll see you on the next one.